We are rapidly closing in on the end of the year. The start of 2023 is just around the corner, which means it is time for our annual Game of the Year countdown. For a lot of you, there's going to be some notable stuff missing on here. Games like Xenoblade Chronicles 3 didn't make the cut, Rune Factory 5 didn't make the cut, Horizon Forbidden West didn't make the cut, and there's a good reason behind that. I haven't played them yet, just haven't had the time.
And a lot of gaming purchases this year for me just haven't gone to new games. They've gone to retro games. Stuff that I've been playing, older games that I haven't had a chance to try out yet, or just building up collections of stuff that I never really had in the past, like this N64 stuff here.
A lot of the focus this year wasn't on playing new stuff. It was putting together complete in-box versions of games that I loved when I was younger, pulling out some of the games I worked on, and just having fun with independent releases like The Cursed Knight and Always Awakening. And a lot of the things I play are independent games that don't get physical releases, so a lot of the stuff you're going to see on this list is Game Pass exclusive, stuff that's just on the Switch eShop, or stuff that hasn't had a physical release yet. But what do you say? Let's get over, let's look at some of the honorable mentions that didn't quite make the list, and then we'll get into the top 10. So only really two kind of almost ran games this year for me really kind of come to the point where I would consider them honorable mentions. And again, if I'd played more games this year that were new releases, there probably would be more on here, but number one is the Capcom Fighting Collection. As much as I love this collection, as much as I think it's fantastic, I don't think it's necessarily something that I need to elevate to a point where it's one of the top games of the year. I really enjoy it. I think it's fun, but I don't know, it just feels almost incomplete, like not getting things like Power Stone, and I know we're probably setting ourselves up for a Volume 2 release down the road, but I don't know, it just doesn't quite get there for me. You know what, actually we're going to go with 3, because there's another one in here that's very much like that, and that's Pac-Man Museum Plus. I love the Pac-Man Museum Plus, I think it's really great, but again, it just, I don't know, it just doesn't feel like a complete game to me. Like, the arcade setup and designing your arcade just feels kind of tacked on. Like, this could have just easily been a menu selection with a bunch of different games in it. Having all of this extra interface in there just, I don't know, it just doesn't work for me. And the final one, the final game to me that just doesn't quite get there, that doesn't quite get over the edge for me, was Uncharted Legacy of Thieves. Now, you might notice a pattern here that these are all re-releases, and that doesn't actually weigh into anything because I do have some re-release games on my top 10 list, but as much as I love the Uncharted series, and as much as I love Nathan Drake, and as much as I love both Uncharted 4 and Uncharted Lost Legacy, I don't know, this one just, it feels pretty much the same. Like, it doesn't look that much better than PS4 release, at least in my eyes from taking, you know, a few years in between playing them. It doesn't feel like it's that much of a visual upgrade, but still a great game, still a lot of fun, just not quite top 10 list material. Hey, one other honorable mention real quick, and that is the Atari 50th collection. I'm not a huge Atari fan, but this is a study in video game history, especially Western-developed video game history here in America. This is an unbelievable collection and absolutely worth checking out. In at number 10 is a game that I did not see coming, not something I expected to be on this list. I never once anticipated the fact that I would be putting a mobile game on a top 10 list, but I am here to tell you that Marvel Snap is legitimately one of my favorite games of the year. It's something I have had so much fun with. And one of the things I truly like about this is not only do you get awesome representations of Marvel characters, you get to build decks with these characters and, you know, theme them around different things that you like. Like, I have a S.H.I.E.L.D. deck that I like to run, I also have an X-Men deck that I dig. But it just works. Like, the game is just fun. Now, that's not to say there aren't bugs. There's definitely bugs in the game, and there's definitely some things where I can look at it and go, well, that's definitely a mobile approach to things, like there's some microtransactions and things like that, but for the most part, you're able to play through this game and unlock things by not spending money, and that's a rare thing to find with a mobile title, and for it to be as well put together and as much fun as this is, like, if you enjoy card battling games, Marvel Snap needs to be on your list because it will chew through spare time that you have. Now, a heads up, it is a battery hog, at least on my Google Pixel. So be aware of that. It is something that's going to probably kill the battery on your mobile, but I love this game. It is a true ton of fun, and something, like I said, I never anticipated putting a mobile game on a top 10 list, but this one is spectacular. Sticking with superheroes, in at number 9 comes a game that I was prepared to hate. I read all of the reviews. I read everything that people were saying about this game, and I fully anticipated thinking this game was going to be terrible. And I'm so happy that I have had so much fun playing Gotham Knights. Now, the story's a little ham-fisted, and it's probably not even close to the top upper echelon of Arkham games. Like, it's definitely weaker in areas than in others, but one of the things I really like about this is that they managed to make this a fully playable game with 4 completely unique characters that all play differently. And that's a rare feat, because the game is pretty well balanced. You can play as a brute like Red Hood if you want, or you can play as an acrobat like Tim Drake, or you can go as Nightwing, who's kind of the all-around character, or the quick, kind of technical character like Batgirl. There's a lot to this game and a lot of moving pieces that I don't think people appreciate as much as they should, because looking at it just from a design perspective and from a balance perspective and from an integration perspective, this game's a marvel. I've had a lot of fun with it. I really like that it's segmented, that it's easy to just pick up and play for 15 to 20 minutes and be able to put back down. It's not something where I feel the need to drive forward and play for hours on hours on hours. And when I have limited free time and I have limited time in front of a game console, that's really appreciated. Gotham Knights has been a lot of fun. I really think this game deserves a second look by people, and when it starts going on sale, like I can guarantee we're getting to the point where it's going to start getting a discount soon, you should check it out. I really think this one has been overlooked and really, really undersold by people. It's been a lot of fun for me.
Just about set to go, and today's starter, Nathan Eovaldi.
It's always interesting.
I really think that the MLB The Show series is pretty much just going to be grandfathered in as one of the top 10 games of the year for me moving forward, because it's a brilliant sports game. It's the best sports title released every year. It's so much fun. It's so well designed. It's so well made. And now that it's on, like, legit every console out there, how could you not love it? How could you not want to play this? If you are a sports fan of any regard, it doesn't matter what sport you like, MLB The Show is the one that's going to be the benchmark for what you want your sport to be like. As a baseball fan and as someone who appreciates the nuances of the game, this captures those nuances better than any baseball game ever made. The design is fantastic. The look is great. The gameplay is stellar. And as great as things like the Road to the Show mode and the different mini-games and things like that in the game are, the one to me that will always be the best is Exhibition. It's as simple as that. Being able to control every aspect of the game, being able to make managerial decisions and swap players out, to control the pitchers and all the fielders and all the hitters, it doesn't get better than that. This is one of the best sports games released every year, and it will always have a place in my top 10 list unless something goes catastrophically wrong. MLB The Show 22 is the best of the bunch, and I cannot wait to see what Sony does with MLB The Show 23.
Field 2.
In at number 7 comes one of the best collections released this year, and that is TMNT The Cowabunga Collection. In a year that saw unbelievable compilations released for all consoles, the Cowabunga Collection stands head and shoulders above all of them. The gameplay is fantastic. The amount of detail and the scans and things like that that went into this to show all the different cartridge art, all the different manuals, the different box art and things like that is top-notch. But the different games that are emulated on here and the different fixes that were added to give quality of life improvements to games that have needed them desperately for, in some cases, over 20 years is just amazing. Being able to play through classic games, both arcade and home console versions of them, is magnificent. Every game plays flawlessly well. Yes, even the original NES version, as frustrating as that game can be, still plays perfectly well on this collection. This is one of the benchmarks for what compilation games should be moving forward. It is fantastic. Number 6 brings another sports game, although it's definitely a different take on a sport, and that's Curse to Golf. This is such an ambitious take on a roguelite that I didn't expect this. Like, I went into this game blind. I kind of cold contacted the publisher and asked for a review code. I got a copy of it, fully anticipating this to be just a standard kind of spooky take on golf, and instead what I got is one of the best roguelites released this year. The courses constantly change. The gameplay is challenging. The different cards that you're able to get to offer power-ups and abilities in the game are numerous. There are different levels that you're going to go through as you go through the different levels of hell to get your way back from the afterlife. And each time you play, it's either going to be more difficult, or it's going to be easier, or it's at least going to be different. This is such a revelation and such a surprise to me that I did not expect to enjoy nearly as much as I did. Like, I knew it was going to be good. I knew it was going to be fun. People had been raving about it, but somehow I missed the fact that this was a roguelike. I love Curse to Golf. I am impressed with the just technical experience playing it, and just seeing how incredibly well designed it is to bring roguelike elements into a sports game wasn't something I anticipated. Curse to Golf is magnificent and needs to be played. In at number 5 is the game that has taken up the vast majority of my gameplay experience in my gameplay time since I got COVID. And that is Vampire Survivors. I had been told about this game by my friend Corey in the past, and he had said that he wasn't sure if I was going to enjoy this one too much. And looking at it on the Game Pass menu, I wasn't really sure this was going to be for me. I didn't think this was going to be something that I really dug. And truth be told, the first time I played it, I thought it was kind of middling. I didn't think it was terribly creative. I didn't think it was terribly well made. It just seemed like, all right, so I walk around and it fires, all right. But the more I've played the game, and the more time I've put into it, there's such a vast meta at play in this game that balancing the different items that you get and the different power-ups and the way they interact together to get to kind of like the ultimate version of these power-ups in the game is just unbelievable. Vampire Survivors is easily one of my favorite games of the year. Like, even if this wasn't in the top 10 for Game of the Year list, this would be near the top of my most played Game of the Year list just because of how easy it is to pick up and play and how easy it is to lose yourself in it. Because every time you play it, you want to beat your previous run. You want to go a little bit longer than you did last time. It has an addictive quality that not a lot of games can easily tap into, and Vampire Survivors gets there almost effortlessly. This is one of the best games of the year to me, and I am so happy it came to Game Pass because it is just tailor-made for the Xbox and such a fantastic game to play. In at number 4 comes the most deceptively simple game on this list. This is Donut Dodo. I got this game at the start of December, and I had seen this played on other channels, and it looked intriguing to me. It looked very approachable, very easy to pick up and figure out and just kind of run through, and I expected to enjoy it, but what I didn't expect it to do was become a day and night obsession. I didn't think it was going to be something where I was going to be wanting to play this all the time so I could finally beat the dodo, so I could finally get through all the stages, so I could finally unlock more difficulty levels, but I still haven't done it. I've been playing this every day for 26 days now, and I still die on the same level, at the same place, every single time. Most games would make me frustrated doing that, and truth be told, this game can be frustrating. There's times where I don't have the rhythm, I don't have the pacing, the cadence isn't working for me, and I can't play it, but there are plenty of days where I am just in the rhythm, where I have the cadence, where I'm grabbing the donuts and getting the bonuses, and I'm getting extra lives, and I'm collecting all the fruit, and I'm avoiding the enemies. And it's those days that make me keep coming back to it. This is the perfect kind of arcade experience. This is the type of game that would have eaten through my quarters when I was younger, and I'm so happy to have it on a home console. Donut Dodo is absolutely brilliant. One of the best games of the year, without question. In at number 3 comes one of the most ambitious 3D platformers of the year, and something that I did not expect to enjoy nearly as much as I did, and I'm so happy that Nintendo released a demo for this game, because without it, I probably wouldn't have picked up Kirby and the Forgotten Land. I'm not a huge Kirby fan. I liked Kirby Planet Robobot, and that's pretty much it. I don't really like a lot of the Kirby games. They're just not ones I get into, but the demo for Forgotten Land was something that I thought was really ambitious, was really fun, and was unbelievably well designed, and did something just slightly different, slightly tweaked with the normal Kirby formula that I loved it. And playing through the full game and playing it as much as I have, I've truly loved every minute I have spent with Kirby and the Forgotten Land. This is a brilliantly designed game. It makes Kirby an unbelievably exciting character to play with all the different power-ups and all the different abilities that you're able to get. Rebuilding Waddle Dee Town is fantastic. It just does everything right. There is nothing that this game does that normally would keep it from the top spot for me. There's just 2 games this year that I've enjoyed a little bit more than this one. But this game is easily top 3 and should be played by anyone with a Nintendo Switch. It takes a lot for a game to become an obsession for me. Something where I am continuously running through levels and trying to find better paths and trying to find every unlockable. I'm not typically a 100% kind of guy. That's not the kind of gameplay experience I usually get into, but with Carl, that was different. This was a game that flew across my radar. It was developed by fellow YouTuber Nintendo, and it was something that looked charming to me. It looked like an old school platformer, and getting it, it was so much more than that. This has so much heart and so much soul to it that I just immediately fell in love with all the characters in the junkyard, and I wanted to see Carl succeed. Being able to play this game and run through and complete the game to 100%, to be able to just have everything unlocked and have everything in my arsenal and to be able to go back and try to improve my run times on different levels, that's not something I'd normally do. That is what Carl did. That is how good this game is. It was something that just immediately made me fall in love with it, and it's something I go back to constantly. This is one of the best games of the year as far as I'm concerned. You can get it on literally any platform, and I urge you to do so because this game is magnificent. Carl is one of my favorite gameplay memories from this year just because of how much I wanted to be able to get through it and to complete it to 100%. That's a rare thing for me, and with Carl, I couldn't wait to do it, and I'm so happy that I did. And in at number 1, and this should come as a surprise to nobody, is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. When this game was announced, I said that this was going to be the game of the year, that it was going to take something exceptional to knock it out of the top place, and as much as I love every other game on this list, nothing was going to trump Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. This is a mix of classic beat-em-up action with modern gameplay aesthetics that just make this picture-perfect, fantastic assembly of what is the best game of the year. Taking two unbelievable developers and putting them together on one fantastic property to create the ultimate TMNT beat-em-up is not something that I think any of us really anticipated being bad, and it's not. Everything this game does, it does perfectly. The challenge is there. The ability to jump in and jump out of online gameplay with multiplayer is fantastic. Couch co-op is brilliant. The characters you're able to use are wonderful. The animations are perfect. The visuals are incredible. And the audio is magnificent. Everything this game does, it crushes. I love everything about this game. I play this game weekly, and I have played it weekly since it released. This was the one game that when it was announced, I said I needed a physical copy of. And I am so happy that I have it because it is absolutely brilliant. Your game of the year for 2022 is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge.
There you have it, everybody. My top 10 games of the year. I said it from the moment it was announced, the day it released. It was going to be hard for anything to top TMNT Shredder's Revenge, and nothing did. I'm not saying that Xenoblade 3 or Horizon Forbidden West wouldn't have trumped it, but for me right now, that is my favorite game of 2022 and the game I have put in so much time on. I think it is an absolutely brilliant game. Let me know in the comments below what your game of the year is. What game got you excited? What game did you love this year? I would love to hear from you. If you liked this list, hit that subscribe button. We got a new year coming up, and I would love to have you stick around. Till next time, folks, I've been Jay. Remember to play more games, stay square, and take care. I'll talk to you soon.